Vivek Ramaswamy is rising in the polls, and as he rises, his opponents are beginning to attack. I'll analyze those attacks here on the Jonathan Lovegrove YouTube channel. So the 2024 election is heating up, and in the Republican primary, candidates are trying to break out. Trump is in that high, lofty first place position, and everybody else in the race is just clawing for success. Vivek Ramaswamy is one of those low-tier candidates, but in the past few months gained traction, getting support in the hardcore red Republican base. Vivek is new to politics. This is his first real race, and that lack of experience is what a lot of his opponents are now attacking him on. But if you look at 538, Ramaswamy is now in third place at 8.7%. That means he's above Nikki Haley, a former ambassador. He's above Mike Pence, a former vice president, above Chris Christie, a former governor, Tim Scott, a current senator, and Hutchinson, another former governor. Those are all major candidates with major experience, and Vivek is surpassing them in the polls. So the natural response is for them to start attacking. See, when you're a small candidate, no one cares. You can have positions, no one cares what they are. But as Vivek has risen in the polls, now people are starting to care. And that's why the attacks against Vivek are really ramping up. Even today, we'll look at some attacks by Sean Hannity, who supports Trump. So is Vivek even becoming a threat to Trump? We'll find out. But let's start with one of the major issues that Vivek is being attacked on, and that is Ukraine. Let's play this clip. This clip right here started a lot of this debate.
To be clear, I would end the war in Ukraine and Russia. It's not that I would just stop defunding it. I would negotiate a deal, and I just want to quickly hit this because it's probably the most important point that we haven't touched. The deal I would negotiate is freeze the current lines of control, make a hard commitment that NATO will not admit Ukraine to NATO, but in return, pull Russia out of its military alliance with China. Okay, that's actually the top threat that we would face is a Russia-China alliance, and we're driving Russia further into China's arms. That's also how we deter China from going after Taiwan without going to war over it. Because China's bet right now is if Russia's in its camp, the U.S. will be in a tough position. If Russia's not in China's camp, Xi Jinping has to think twice before going after Taiwan.
So Vivek doesn't have much foreign policy experience, and I think that shows in this clip. You hear him talking about giving Ukrainian territory to Russia, which at first is alarming, but on the condition that Russia breaks ties with China. I think the hard part of this deal is it's not practical. How do you define the breaking of ties between Russia and China? I think that would be a very hard deal for him to settle, especially with Putin. And the reality is it doesn't seem practical or conceivable. So he's been attacked on that. Check out this clip from Nikki Haley attacking him in the debate.
Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. And you are choosing a murder over a pro-American country.
First of all, Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis,
Nikki, I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not on
but the fact of the matter,
there you have it. Your watch,
so
you will make America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience that you all have shows in the pointless wars we've gotten into.
As you can see, foreign policy is the issue that Vivek is taking heat on. His Ukraine response there seems a bit poor, and when he responds to Nikki Haley, he doesn't seem to actually address the main concern. Now, Sean Hannity interviewed Vivek, and I'm interested to see that Sean is asking tough questions and really pushing back against Vivek. I'm wondering if Hannity now views Vivek as a threat to Trump. Check out this clip.
I know that most, if not most conservatives, unfortunately, I see Vladimir Putin as evil, a thug, a murderer, and he's trying to fulfill his territorial ambitions.
I worry we are now driving Russia closer into China's arms. And the Russia-China alliance is the single greatest threat that we face. And that's what I really worry about.
It's
and
already
I think that
there.
if there's an
it's
opportunity,
Russia, China, and Iran.
Well,
a new
exactly.
axis of evil is formed. So the question is, I think
I want to
other
weaken
countries
it.
in the
And I want to
weaken it too.
But it's not just Ukraine. Vivek has talked a lot about Israel. Here's more of that initial interview where Vivek talks about his plan for Israel.
Now, as that relates to Israel, my view is I ask the question, there's no North Star commitment to any one country other than the United States of America. So what advances American interests? I actually do think our relationship with Israel has advanced American interests. I come out on the side of that. Here's what I want to see happen, though. I want to negotiate. I'm a deal maker, okay? I want to negotiate now Abraham Accords 2.0. Get Saudi, Oman, Qatar, Indonesia in there. Get Israel on its own 2 feet. And I believe in standing by commitments that we've already made. So our commitments have, I think, $38 billion in aid, military support, et cetera, going in through 2028. I want to get Israel to the place where it is negotiated back into the infrastructure of the rest of the Middle East. We should not be worried about holding one nation or one region hostage over one particular question relating to Palestine. Go to Abraham Accords 2.0. That's good for Israel. It's good for the rest of the Middle East. It's good for us, such that come 2028, that additional aid won't be necessary in order to still have the kind of stability that we'd actually have in the Middle East by having Israel more integrated in with its partners.
Now, there was a key phrase in that interview. Vivek talks about Abraham Accords 2.0, and right after that, he says that if that goes well, initial aid, quote, won't be necessary by 2028. This is a place where he is wide open to attacks because he has put on the table ending aid to Israel. Now, he conditions that aid by saying we must have success with Abraham Accords 2.0. But the fact that cutting aid to Israel is even on the table opens him up for attacks, and by 2028, which is in the near future. This really could, in practice, weaken Israel, but it also opens up a door for attacks. Hannity also asked Vivek about this, so check out that clip.
You know, you said aid to Israel, our number one ally, only democracy in the region, should end in 2028, and that they should be integrated with their neighbors. I have an exact quote. You want me to read it?
That's actually, I can tell you the exact quote. What I said is it would be a mark of success if we ever got to a point in our relationship with Israel, if Israel never needed the United States' aid. I've been crystal clear.
But do you?
That the
Here's
only
what I want to
condition
know.
under which.
Do you understand the importance of the strategic alliance, the intelligence sharing, in an area of the world where we have a lot of enemies, which, by the way, boggles my mind that we look for the lifeblood of our economy and the world's economy from that very same region of the world, and we have more natural resources here, which you agree. But you do understand how important that alliance is and
Sean,
how important the intelligence factor is and how important it is with Iran, especially seeking nukes.
Because I will treat it as a true friendship, not just a transactional relationship.
And why did you say that they shouldn't have preferential treatment? Why did you say that Israel should not have preferential treatment from us? That's a direct quote.
Sean, I understand. No, those are direct quotes from headlines summarized by opposition research fed to the fake news media. And the other thing I've said, Sean, is that Israel's our friend. Good friends learn from each other. I would love Israel's border policies in this country.
Now, in that clip, I think Vivek is struggling with that aid comment. He mentioned potentially ending aid down the road, and he doesn't want to backtrack on the comment, but at the same time, Vivek doesn't want to lean into that comment. So it's a rough place for him. Also, you saw how he shifted to talking about Israel's border policy. He shifted away from the conversation on aid. For him, that was probably a smart move. So here's the big summary. Vivek Ramaswamy is beginning to become a threat. And when you're viewed as viable, that opens you for attacks. Right now, his weak spot seems to be foreign policy. What Vivek needs to do is solidify his positions. Once his positions are solidified, he needs to figure out and rehearse responses to questions on Ukraine and Israel. This is his weak spot. And if Vivek wants to continue to grow in this primary, he needs to practice and rehearse those tough issues. Thank you for watching this analysis. Make sure to check out more of my Vivek analysis right up here. I'll see you in the next video.